is Emily Amon, and this is kind of my final course reflection on my legal environment for global organizations. It's actually my second quarter in my master's level program. Was a little hesitant and nervous to take it just because, with my experience in business, and my undergraduate was marketing and management, so I didn't really take a whole lot of law classes, and I'm not very familiar with a lot of legalities, so I was a little nervous, especially with international business. It really, the expansion of it and the different laws from not only, state to state, but international. Which kind of brings us to the NAU graduate program. The mission statement is to provide a blended learning environment where students can explore the global perspective while learning to regionally relevant decisions. And I actually think that this class captured it perfectly, to be able to understand that, especially being in business, that understanding different cultures, different laws, and the way that globalization and international trade works as a whole is so important to any business, whether it be a little company in South Dakota to a large city, to a city. So the course overall, I really enjoyed the layout that the instructor had. Little hesitant about the videos at first, but compared to my other classes, I've really taken away a lot more. I feel like in writing the papers, you get so in tuned into the research and you do understand it, but it's so different to be able to talk about it and put your own interpretation on it, and to be able to really not just write it down, but to actually understand and comprehend it and be able to discuss about it. So I think that really helped me overall with my learning. And kind of what I stated about earlier about how understanding these international trade laws and international business is so incredibly important to even someone like me that wants to just be in management and training. There's so many different cultures out there, different companies that have awesome training overseas, that just being able to open up your mind to the way that other companies work internationally or work in their own country, as well as we learned a lot about host countries, about the being able to put your company in another. We have a ton of corporations coming into the US as well, so even if I don't plan on working internationally, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be this international trade between them and them coming into the US as well. Case studies were also something that I found was really helpful, to be able to see real life situations on when we'll see this, and a lot of them did have to deal with the US and other countries, which I think helped realize that it's going to be there whether we plan on doing international business. So to bring it back home, a lot of the discussions were based on these international cases, but it's so important to understand your reflection of it. I did not have a lot of international experience, but it's something that even understanding the origins of certain products and the outsourcing and the growth of the international trade, how it affects us, I think is a big realization. And understanding those trade agreements, understanding the repercussions of them, as well as the benefits, because I think that to really understand it, we do need to understand both sides of it, how outsourcing and insourcing can affect not only our home market, our home industries, the technologies, but the host companies and how in the host countries, and how they perceive us. So my largest takeaway overall is really, I am so passionate about business ethics, and I think that I appreciated this course even more because it was a sole focus overall throughout every week. There was little touches of how we need to respect international laws. We need to respect international ethics, their different laws, the cultures that they have, because we will have other companies, trade with us. So even with like the NAFTA, to understand our agreement with Mexico and Canada, how we treat Canada a little different than we treat our Mexican neighbors, with their different guidelines, and understanding that there is a reason for it, but is it necessarily always fair? And to even, working in a different culture, and the labor laws that they have, and understanding, well, we need to respect the U.S. laws that we have, and the ethics and the guidelines that we have for companies, and not taking advantage of different cultures because maybe they don't have the same pay rates or the same labor laws. So it's just finding that balance, because we want the U.S. to feel that we're still working ethically, we're still doing what we would if it was our home country, but not overstepping the lines, where if maybe a culture has a certain guideline that we believe strongly in the U.S., they may not. So really understanding the balance, I think, is a huge part of business, and the overall respect that will, increase the trade. And globalization is an awesome thing, but to understand, that with good things comes bad sides, and to really, this class overall focused on that. And I think that that was something that I'll really take away, as far as understanding that, yeah, we can treat other countries great, but we need to understand that because I think that this is the way that I would want to do it, doesn't necessarily mean that the foreign country will perceive it that way, as well as understanding their economy, and wanting to boost their economy and not necessarily overpower it. So kind of my takeaways of this course. I think that it was really great, especially for the globalization aspect of understanding, business ethics overall.